you don't get exhausted by people's energy because you're not around people. Like you're around people, but you're not. Like it doesn't drain you because you could turn it off. But let's get into some Metaverse talk, aka
Future
Meta.
talk.
So let's talk about some future talk, right? In the, I would say, past weeks, Facebook made a huge announcement saying we're going into the Metaverse.
Right.
We're actually changing our name to Meta. I see what they did there. Right? And which is huge. We've gone over things like NFTs and talked a little bit about the Metaverse. And funny enough, I said one of my learning buckets for next year is to get all into the Metaverse. I truly believe that anybody who is ahead of the game with that is going to be winning, right? Now, before I get too into, the interview and things like that, do you believe that we are going to head into a more introverted world now that the Metaverse is starting to be a little bit more of a reality, and we're seeing things, we've gotten so used to like filters. We've gotten used to some of the apps where if we want to buy something, we see how it is on the wall and things like that. We've gotten glimpse of what it can be, but with, Facebook doing their presentation of their perspective on the Metaverse and putting billions of dollars into it. Like, do you feel that human interaction is going to change a little bit? What are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that I'm going to call it introverts on the rise. I mean, like, not that more people are going to become introverted. I do think it's an introvert move.
Okay.
But I'm really feeling like it's more of a convenience thing. Like, how we've always talked about, like, no doubt, paying for convenience every single time.
Yes.
So I think where it's headed is to really create a premium virtual convenience experience. And I know that's a long phrase.
Yes.
But that's you know what I'm saying? Like, that's where it's going. So that if you don't feel like going to a concert, sorry for the example, because of maybe some of the concerns of people there, well, you can just hologram yourself right into it, feel the action without risking any dangers of really physically being there. So it's like, it's probably more of an ambivert move than it is an introvert move. It's like, oh, I want to be an extrovert, but I don't want to do the extrovert energy. So I'm going to do it the introvert way.
Is it because... So here's why I say it real quick, right? You don't get exhausted by people's energy because you're not around people. Like, you're around people, but you're not. Like, it doesn't drain you because you could turn it off. You feel what I'm saying? Like, if you go to a concert...
Right. No, I'm saying, it's like saying, I'm tired. Instead of going home, you just cut it off. That's crazy.
Right. There's no long drive. There's no parking. Like, Uber, you don't have to deal with people at all. Like, you just go, hello, I want to go to Jay-Z's concert, right? He may hit the Metaverse. Boom. I pick out my outfit, boom, 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 buy it through NFT.
Virtual outfit. That's crazy.
It's going to happen.
Yes.
You get all, you sent it to me that Nike is in the process of creating virtual wear.
Right. The patents. Yep.
Right. So with that involved, I don't have to go to the store. We already don't go to the store to buy certain things, right? Well, some still do, but we don't have to go to the store. We buy it virtually. we have our fit, we go to the concert, we go to the event, and when I'm tired, I turn it off.
Crazy.
It's
Crazy.
it's
For those of you listening who are like, what in the world are they talking about? This is not make believe. This is stuff. This is what the metaverse is going to represent. You know, in the near future. I mean, is it safe to say it's happening to some extent, but not fully out there just yet?
Yeah, so you have the Facebook product,
AR.
the Oculus, right?
Yeah.
Which now I really want to buy. Shout out to my mom. My mom was going to buy it for me, and I was like, no. And now it's starting to be super popular, and I'm like, man, I should have said yes. But there is kind of like a preview, because you can have your own environment, your own office. I think we spoke about it. I don't know if it was on the live where, or we wanted to speak about it, where they're doing kind of like a workplace. Like, so now you get to virtually work with your coworkers, do email projects, everything like that. So that is starting to happen. But we're saying all this because Mark Zuckerberg had an interview with Gary Vee, and he went truly in depth about the metaverse. And there's two parts we want to talk about. The first one is why in the world he changed the name, and bringing up the topic of rebranding, because, of course, everybody has their own definition of what rebranding is. But what Facebook, aka Meta, is doing right now is truly rebranding. And then, of course, what people think or not think about this whole metaverse, and how Mark or Zuckerberg, or however you want to address my man, whatever, right? How he feels about that. So let's get into the rebranding one real quick.
I mean, I think that's a key thing with this rebrand to Meta is it's not like now we're not focused on social media. I mean, that's going to be the bread and butter of what we do. That's the core thing. And our work to build the metaverse encompasses both building social experiences and building these future platforms like VR and AR. It's got to be both, right? We have to weave all of these new technologies through these social apps, and because you want to be able to jump into the metaverse and a 3D experience from your Instagram feed.
That's bonkers. That's bonkers.
So before we get all nerded out again about the metaverse and what's going to happen in the metaverse and what we're going to wear, let's just go with the foundation of, they changed their name to Meta, right? And the real reason why they did it is because, like he said, they want to be known more than just a social media network, right? Of course, they've dominated. They bought Instagram, WhatsApp, all the, like, they try to get Snapchat. They probably had conversations with TikTok, right? But how do I want to put this? The thing that threw even Gary Vee for a loop was when they purchased Oculus, right? Which, for those people who don't know, is like their VR wear, right? You put these VR, not glasses, but like the mini computer or whatever it is. And you're in a whole different world. You get to exercise there. You get to work there. You get to play games. And, they want to focus more on being the technology instead of being the social media network. So everything that has to do with this metaverse, everything as far as connecting with people in a whole new universe, is what they want to concentrate on. And I don't know, Moose, if you caught part of that interview where he was like, it sounded like he wanted to redo the phones, the smartphones. I don't know if you caught that, but it was like, smartphones are actually very limited, and we had to play with the limitations. But what if we could create hardware that there isn't as much limitations when it comes to the metaverse and the experience that you have with connecting with people? So Mark is getting very big on not only the software side of things, but the hardware part as well. And we've been seeing little clues with it once again with Oculus, but another one with the deal with Ray-Bans, right? Where you could do AR filters and record and everything straight through that. And it's crazy to see, but from a branding standpoint, it's very telling to say, okay, if you were just creating a different product, maybe changing your name isn't needed, but you are going into a whole new world. Mm-hmm. What we knew you for is now going to be of a bigger purpose. And of course, that's going to need a different name. What I will say is, do you believe that they're changing their name because of all these legal situations that they're having as well? And if they leave it on Facebook, Facebook owns all these different products, that it could actually do more hurt than good to leave their name like that. Especially we've talked about the whistleblower and that whole situation when they had the data leak. There's a lot of things lately that Facebook has been facing. That's crazy. But at the same time, they're going to be like, oh, if we concentrate, which I'm not saying they never wanted to do that, but we're concentrating on the metaverse. Let's just change our names. Let's protect Facebook. It's now a product of our entire company. It's not our whole company anymore. And we're good on a legal standpoint, but as well as our purpose standpoint. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, it's got to be a part of the move, right? Like, I think you're looking at one of probably the most intelligent moves in history when it comes to like rebranding and business, right? Because I'm going to use one of your least favorite words.
Oh, okay.
This is probably one of the greatest pivots, right, that you're going to see kind of like unfold over time.
Yeah.
Now, I'll give him maybe 70% credit, right? Okay. And let me kind of break that down. So when you look at it from just like a self standpoint, you're looking at someone who's recognizing his genius and he's like, you know what? Yes, I started here, but at the end of the day, I'm not so much just in love with social media. There are other things that I'm in love with, right? And it's more so based in tech.
Yeah.
So rather than just continuing to compete and have to run up against companies who are trying to take the top spot in the social media space, I want to really play to my strength. So that's why I'm calling it one of the greatest pivots probably in history, at least to 70% of the way, because he's now saying, all right, this is a great opportunity for me to walk away from all the bad publicity, all the legal action that I'm facing, right? All of the things that you mentioned, which are absolutely true, and step into a place that is actually more in line with my skill set and my talent. I want to be more of a tech company. I want to be more like Apple rather than a social media, or at least perceived as such. So let me do that. That sets me up for more success. I'm only calling it 70%, and we'll see how it unfolds, because many of us have the idea. Many companies before have been early adopters in a marketplace to see where things are going to be, pivot quickly to make the adjustments, set yourself up, maybe set up shop and say, okay, I'm going to call it Meta, and almost work off of the whole Google thing, right? Google penetrated the market in such a way that when you're asking someone to look up something, and this is used as an obvious brand example, you don't say, hey, go on Bing that. You say, go Google that, right?
Yes.
So I think Meta is setting themselves up in that realm. Now, what we have to see is that they actually execute and bring some of these ideas to life, all right? They're not the only one who's competing for that top spot. So yes, they may have the name, but we gotta wait for them to see, or we have to wait to see them now actually deliver on that promise and bring some of these ideas and some of these technologies to life. So It's really, really cool. I'm excited to see what happens. And I've been really in tune with it because I think for people of our era, people of our generation, I forget where I heard this, but they were talking about the unfolding or all the great kind of income earning opportunities that have come over the last 100 years, right? And
Yep.
more so with like gold and the gold rush, and we weren't alive or whatever the case may be, who knows what happened. But just talk about the internet. In many of the, and they're calling this Web 3.0, with Web 1.0 and 2.0, many of us lack knowledge, interest, and money.
Yep.
Now, all of that stuff, for the most part, has kind of taken care of itself. Like it's not incredibly difficult to acquire knowledge. We obviously have the interest because we're utilizing these technologies and platforms to some extent. And even from a financial standpoint, we understand the idea of crowdfunding or lending, or, like there's just a lot of ways to do it. So I think this is just a time, and the reason why I'm equally as geeked up about it as you are in this space is because I'm looking at it as an opportunity for us to be one of the early adopters who study and grow into, a market that's shifting before, so we don't have to tell our kids, man, if I would have put, a couple $1,000s in Meta when I was back in this day, it would have been 10 million. But it's like, like how many times are we going to keep saying that? So yeah, I'm just excited for it. But I do think from a pivot standpoint, great move. We just got to see it unfold now.